The greatest tragedy is not death, but life without purpose.
Stand down!
Could you forgive me?
I don't know, but maybe God can.
I will call upon your name.
Captive. So it sees a black man accused of rape, murder 4 people, and then take a white woman hostage. Now, in this kind of current climate of kind of racial profiling and hostility, were you worried about bringing that to the big screen?
Absolutely, of course. But at the end of the day, the reason why I could make peace with doing the film is that ultimately the reason why both these people who were on a downward spiral, she was a meth addict, he of course was a murderer, the reason why a corner was turned during this devastating day in which Brian Nichols broke out of the courthouse jail, killed 4 people, took her hostage, it was their humanity that I think helped them turn the corner. The fact that they mirrored to each other what brokenness was and the need to change was. And there is every reason to believe that Ashley Smith would have been Brian Nichols' 5th victim that day. I think that the common ground that they shared outside of being a black man and a white woman is what helped her never touch that drug again and turn her life around. And like I say, you know, him giving himself up and letting her go. So to a certain degree, even though on the surface of it, it has all these hot button prejudicial subject matters, I think when you go behind the headline, you see that these are just 2 broken people who needed pulling out of the mire.
It's a true story. And, you know, you did Selma. You've got the upcoming Nina biopic, Queen of Katwe.
Yes.
Something about true stories that you keep on going back to. What is it that you love about them?
You know what, I don't necessarily gravitate specifically towards true stories. I think the reason why that's become part of what is bolstering my CV is just that they're just great stories. And I think they're also stories that, for an audience, I think there's something about a true story that means that you go to a place where your heart is open. Your heart is open to learning, to being inspired, to the notion of hope, to what it is for us to be human beings. I think that there's actually a bit of a divide now cinematically between the fantasy big superhero movies and then there's this, and maybe not much in between. And so these kind of films become a way to really speak to an audience.
And you've never felt, you know, kind of the need to go into one of these big franchises. You know, you don't really go into like sequels. We can't see even like a superhero movie.
Well, every time there's an opportunity for a sequel, I die in the first one. So that's been my way around it. I did a film called Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and I met an ugly demise there. I did a film called Jack Reacher, similarly. But for me personally, I'm not one for repeating myself. You know, I don't know that I would be in a hurry to do something that meant I had to sort of play the same thing over and over again. I also, you know, I'm reticent to play the kind of character that means you're only identified with one character or one role or one person. I mean, having played Dr. King in Selma, for instance, I really relish playing someone who's antithetical to that, like Brian Nichols, because I think that keeps the audience guessing.
You do the voices in the Star Wars Rebel.
Yes.
Could you ever, I mean, you're obviously repeating that role in quite a few episodes,
That's
but
right.
could you, if the opportunity was there for you to actually go on live action, would you ever want to step there, or has ever been talk about you crossing over?
It all depends on the role. It all depends on how challenging it is, how complex it is. You know, no matter how tantalizing it is from a fanboy point of view or even a financial point of view, I can't do anything that I think is going to be something I'm going to get bored with after a time. I just don't think that that's beneficial to anyone. I won't be very good. The audience won't really like it because they'll be like, why is he phoning it in? So that's what governs whether I do these things or not, is do I feel like I'll be challenged by them.
And I just wanted to finally ask about your movie, A United Kingdom.
Yes.
About the Botswanan prince who marries a white woman. And as you are in a mixed race relationship anyway, did you go to that role because it was kind of resonant towards you? And, you know, did he make you understand how what it was like back there compared to what it is like now for mixed race couples?
All of the above, really. Yes, there's no question that my own very happy marriage is part of the inspiration of why I want to see a story like a United Kingdom told. But also, you know, I'm Nigerian. I'm from Africa. My parents are from Nigeria. And I just don't feel like there are enough stories out of Africa that are transcendent, that are not about dictators or degradation or poverty or, you know, or to be perfectly frank, have a white savior at the center of the story. You know, this is about an African king who married a white woman and their love changed the world. It's an epic love story, and I just can't remember the last time I saw that. Certainly not with a black protagonist at the center. So, you know, for me, that's the overriding thing I'm so excited about, is giving the world a different kind of African story.